Joining us now is Jennifer Marshall, Director of Domestic Policy Studies at the Heritage Foundation. Jennifer oversees research having to do with our culture, including education. Jennifer, thank you for being with us.
Well, great to be with you. Thanks for the invitation, Fred.
Did you get a chance to listen to the president's speech to the school children?
I sure did.
What do you think about that, and what do you think about the entire context of that speech and the controversy that led up to it?
Well, the president made a number of good charges to the young people of America to set goals, to aim high in life, to get back up after failures and defeats in their lives. And that's a great thing. That's fine. But it would be very interesting to see earlier versions and iterations of this and what was planned before the controversy began last week when the Department of Education issued guidelines and lesson plans, very explicit lesson plans on how teachers could use this speech in their classrooms. So even though the speech was not a policy speech in any way, shape, or form, it revealed a lot about this administration's education policy and the overreaching nature of the federal role in education that is a part of the philosophy of this administration.
Yes, well, I had to agree with Jerry partially, and she was talking about some of the good things the president said and so forth. But Jerry is kind of young and naive sometimes, and
this is why I'm on the show, so he can explain these things to me.
I have to. It's the only place on this show where I have the security of saying things like this. But my problem was, you got to put this in context. I mean, they tried to get away with something, and they got caught, and they had to pull it back when they were talking about telling the kids how you can help your president and, doing the Hugo Chavez type thing. So he comes with some words that are, let's say, are good words to them, for them to hear from anybody, especially the president. But if you're going to get back to there are two ends of this, the deliverer and the receiver. And if you're going to look at the deliverer, it's just like you said. This whole effort shows what they wanted to do, were trying to do, and it's in the context of this health care debate. And everything that happens up here now is graded, pro or con, and what kind of political benefits you can get out of it. And it looks to me like this is clearly an effort to get to these kids and the parents of these kids to help Senator Obama in terms of, his favorability ratings. What do you think about that?
Well, it's interesting to listen to the speech. In 95%, very innocuous and good challenges to these young people. But then the assumptions about what the federal government would be doing and what the role of the president with regard to education is were things that we should take a second look at. The president's references to I'll be working on getting you supplies and books and equipment and computers for your classroom.
I put a note on that. I'm working hard for you.
Yeah, but you've got to do your part. Well, that's a bit of an imbalance of a view of education in America. Less than 10% of the funding for local schools comes from Washington.
Exactly.
And even that is outside the realms of federalism and the principles that we all support here. And that idea that the president is personally responsible for equipping local schools is a problematic one that has not been accepted through most of American history.
Well, you're putting your finger on something that people should not overlook. This is not conspiracy theory stuff. The fact of the matter is, as you say, education has always been a state and local responsibility. And the question is, fair question, was this maybe a small part of an effort to nationalize this issue and have people look to Washington? It's you and me, folks. It's me, the president. It's you, the student. And together we'll solve this problem.
Right, and not a lot of mention at all about state policy, local policymakers, local boards of education. This would have been a great civics lesson opportunity to paint how we do education policy in America, but sadly we missed that.
Right. Speaking of civics policy, I noticed you wanted to talk about this too, and I sure do. There was actually a protest at the school where he gave the speech, protesting the fact that Barack Obama, contrary to sort of the impression that he gives off, actually doesn't help those who really need the help in education, i.e. the D.C. school vouchers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely, yes. As the events were unfolding this morning, and they were securing the premises of that school right here in the District of Columbia at the Department of Education, the Virginia Walden Ford, our friend here at the Heritage Foundation, and a number of other leaders, Kevin Chavis, a former Democratic council member of the District of Columbia, Howard Fuller, longtime civil rights and school choice activist. These national African American school choice activists were protesting the fact that the president has been ignoring the plight of students right here in his own backyard in the District of Columbia. And if we want to talk constitutional jurisdiction, the District of Columbia is the one school system that Congress has a lot of say over, and because it appropriates the funds. And the D.C. Opportunity Scholarship Fund that was passed about 6 years ago now by Congress is in peril of winding down. The Congress has actually not allowed, the Department of Education revoked scholarships from 216 students who were supposed to enter that program this year. What does that mean? Those 216 students had a ticket out of some of the most violent and ineffective public schools in America. They were going to get into a safe haven of a private school, but they had those scholarships revoked by this Department of Education.
And why was that?
There is widespread opposition from the teachers' unions
Bingo.
and others who are happy with the status quo, apparently, or not taking action on behalf of these students. And these protesters today were calling on the president and on Secretary Duncan to make a change, not just for these 216 students, but for all the students in the District of Columbia.
Jennifer, I think that one of the greatest miscarriages of justice that's happened in this country in a while is happening right under the nose of the United States Congress and the President of the United States right here in Washington, D.C. because of what you said. They are taking these kids out of a school system and out of schools, including the ones that the President's own children go to, because of political pressure from the left wing and the teacher students, because they're afraid if that works out for these kids, if this voucher program works out for these inner city D.C. kids, that it'll spread everywhere. Well, yeah, it will, and that petrifies them.
And you know what? The sad part of it is good teachers have nothing to fear from school choice.
Of course not.
The teachers, parents, children can all welcome school choice as the opportunity to arrange their common interests in ways that suit them all better than the status quo.
Jennifer, thank you. You put your finger right on it. We really appreciate you being with us today. Jennifer Marshall,